everyone, my name is Miranda and today I'm here to review All the Crooked Saints by Maggie Stiefvater, which is her latest book after the Raven Cycle series wrapped up, and I have been somewhat looking forward to this book. I was kind of disappointed in the Raven King, the last book in the Raven Cycle, so I think that made it that I was not like super pumped for this book in any way, but I was excited to see what she would put out next. This book is basically, like many Maggie Stiefvater books, hard to sum up in 1 or 2 sentences, but it's basically about this family that lives in Colorado and they are able to perform miracles for people, but the miracles in the way that they happen are a bit different because they happen basically in 2 parts, where one, the miracle happens and basically your darkness that you're trying to get rid of inside yourself is manifested as something physical that you have to figure out how to go away with or work with it, and then and only then will the second part of the miracle happen where you are fully healed from the darkness that you have. And the family, although they perform the miracles and let the pilgrims who have the miracles performed on them stay at their resident compound area, they are not allowed to interact with the pilgrims or help them in any way in moving on and finding and making peace with the darkness, or else the darkness will come out in them, and their family's darkness is said to be way, way worse than anyone else's, just because it's kind of like the culmination of the families, not just one individual's person. So the book really focuses on the 3 younger cousins of this family, and that is Beatriz, her older cousin Daniel, and her younger cousin Joaquin. Beatriz is really the main one, I would argue, but Daniel is the one who is the current saint of the compound, so he's the one that performs all the miracles for everyone, although Beatriz can also perform them if she needs to, but she really doesn't want to. She's more of a thinker and engineer, and she wants to really get out there and kind of solve situations and stuff like that rather than making problems for other people in a way, because these darkness that manifests is kind of a problem that has to be solved. What really propels the book is Daniel makes the choice of helping out one of the pilgrims, and in doing so he brings the darkness upon himself and removes himself from his family, and then his family for the rest of the book is trying to figure out how they can help him without hurting themselves in a way. Hard to A, describe, like I said, but then also B, describe without ruining or spoiling anything. So there is also a secondary plot that kind of wraps in with this, of a boy named Pete who comes to the compound not looking for a miracle but looking for a job because he wanted to be in the army, but he has a hole in his heart and was just told that he isn't fit for service. So he's kind of wandering without purpose, but he is such a super nice guy. Like, I absolutely love Pete. He was such a sweetheart, and I think for the most part this book is again just about trying to find this darkness in themselves and how they can manage with it and kind of not be as afraid of it as the family has been told to for so many years. So it's interesting that Beatriz and Joaquin and Pete are kind of the 3 that try and take this on themselves and are the first ones to kind of figure out how to potentially deal with it, which is really, really interesting to see. And I did really, really like this book. The setting of the 60s makes it cool because it's all revolved around radio, kind of like a lot of stuff that happens is with this radio that they take and they make their own radio station out of it, Joaquin and Beatriz, and it's interesting to see how they use that and how a different time period can feel in this, because it definitely has that sense of like before cell phones, before computers, all that, but then it also has kind of a sense of timelessness and that it could take place in any really time period almost, but I do like that the 60s is what she chose for because of the radio aspect of it. I think that makes it really cool, and just the way it's written is very it's very nice, I think, but it also reminded me a lot of Raven Boys. I think I was hoping for something that kind of just felt completely different, but I think Beatrice reminded me a lot of Blue in ways, and I think there was just kind of sometimes her writing seemed very similar to what Raven Boys was, and I mean that makes sense because it's the same author, you know, but at the same time I wanted it to feel kind of separate, like I'm reading something new from her, you know, and it didn't always feel like that. I also think the character development for a lot of the characters was kind of weak. I think Pete was one that I especially I wanted a lot more from him. Like, he was awesome and everything, and I think in a way, the way that this works in that kind of relationships, because there is kind of an insta-love going on in this book too, actually. I feel like the way it's written, you don't get a lot of development, but it kind of works in a way because this book is about miracles and kind of foretold things that are kind of meant to be, so it would make sense that love is also like that, that you just see the person and know that's who you're supposed to be with, and it's kind of written that way. Like, it's kind of like this omnipresent third narrator who, like, knows what's happening and what the characters are feeling, but then can also say, like, what's going to happen and be like, oh, this is the start of when they loved each other or something like that. So I think that's why it works. It's just that I kind of wish, especially with the relationship aspect, we could have gotten more development between it, because I mean, the two characters that are the main shipping, I would say, who I love them together and I think they're great, they just don't get a huge amount of dialogue even together. Like, the scenes they get together are adorably cute, but I just wanted like 50 more scenes between them because they're so cute and so right for each other, and you start to see that, but at the same time it's just not delved deep enough, I feel like. Going off of that, there's also a lot of characters in this book, which is awesome. At the end of the book, you're kind of like, did we really need all these characters? Like, some of them just are there for reasons that aren't really pertinent to what's happening. I did like that it was such a big family, but at the same time I wish we could have used more with the characters. Maybe if the book was a bit longer or something like that. And then I just feel the ending also too was kind of rushed and wrapped up. Like, it was like we had this big problem for the whole book and then it was just solved within like 2.5 pages, and I was kind of like, oh wow, like it's done already. So I think overall it was a really great book, and it did exceed expectations I had, I feel like, just because I was kind of down, you know, from the Raven King and how that was. And I really did like the feel of it. The desert, the 1960s, the family, the culture. I feel like Maggie worked with that very well. I just think it needed kind of, I don't know, it's hard because part of me is like it needed deeper characterization, deeper, just more. But then at the same time, it also works a bit like this just because that's kind of what the book is about. It's just you have to take things at face value and kind of understand that, like, there can be something more to this without necessarily saying so, and you have to figure that out for yourself. But I'm just always like wanting, you know, more. Like, if I like something, that's the best compliment you can give something, right? You want more of it. So I really did enjoy it though. The cover's beautiful, and I think it just really made you think, which was nice. It was very interesting, and it would be interesting, I think, to see as a movie or a TV show, because just the way it could be set up and the way things could be thought of, and also seeing like the desert, because Maggie painted such a pretty picture of the desert and personifying it and everything. I really loved it, and I think Beatrice, like I said, was a good main character, and she definitely had the most development, I feel like, out of all the characters. But yeah, that's about it for this review. I ended up giving this book 4.5 out of 5 stars, and if you have read all the Crooked Saints, please feel free to leave your thoughts about it down below in the comments. Also, make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel down below to be told when I make all sorts of new videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!